Hi guys, my name is Allison Williams and I am the math professor for Statistics 243Z, which is Elementary Statistics 1 or Statistics 1. So I just want to kind of talk to you about what you need to know for this course so that you can hopefully get through it, be successful, and move on. But there is a lot of information, so it's just easier if I do it on a video because it's just so much to talk about. Okay, so let's just kind of dive right into here. First, I have posted the syllabus for the class, which is actually kind of more important than I think students sometimes realize. Syllabus is the contract to the course. So everything that is expected of you, all the points, all that's going to contribute to your grade, what I expect is in the syllabus. So it is worth taking the time to go through, read the syllabus, make sure you see and understand my expectations so that you are ready to go for the course. Now, statistics is kind of special, and it is a course that I kind of want to take a moment to talk about in terms of how it's a little bit different than most math courses. So, statistics is a data-based course, which means it's typically needed for different subjects that use a lot of data, like social sciences, psychology, sociology, um, uh, also like nursing and allied health courses often use statistics because of case studies. So when data is collected, statistics is used. Okay, so it's more of a science for that reason, because we're looking at data and data changes, as it's active and moving, and science changes all the time. Math doesn't. Math is always the same, which is why it's so wonderful. But the math does stay similar when we are studying it, and therefore that's why you're here. Now, a couple things I want to kind of point out that make this course a little different, besides the fact that it's kind of different. We have to kind of develop a language at the beginning of statistics. So a lot of vocabulary. It's very vocabulary heavy at the beginning. And then we kind of get more into the math as we kind of get going into chapters 2 and 3. So just be aware of that. We're kind of developing vocabulary, getting our heads around that. Second is this course has a lot of sections to cover. It is a 200 level course. So we are going to be going through quite a bit of material that is needed in order for you to be able to read a case study. So yeah, it's kind of got a lot of stuff, which means you need to stay on top of watching the videos, going through the lectures, and getting your homework done. All right. We're going to talk more about that in a minute, but just kind of want to make you aware it's got a lot of material in this class, so you need to be ready to kind of dive in and devote some serious time. And this course, the way I have it structured, is because different subjects, different people use different programs to analyze the data, okay? We're not going to go through all of those. I can't. I'm not going to know what, different case studies are going to use to analyze the data, or even if you do any sort of data analysis, you might be using a special program that your teacher likes, and it could vary from teacher to teacher. So I will focus more on the formulas that are really being used in those programs, and Excel, like kind of showing you some like how it does get calculated. But really, I'm going to focus on the formulas. So we have a lot of formulas in this class, and I am not expecting you to have those memorized. You will be given a formula sheet on the exams to use the entire time, okay? I have, in fact, given you the formula sheet on Canvas. It is available. Go ahead and look at that when you're done with this video, after you look at the syllabus. And yeah, you can use that on the exams, which we'll talk more about here in just a minute. Okay, so textbook for this class is an open resource textbook, which means it's free. Yay! It is through a pretty reputable company. I did set it up as PDF format, though, just to kind of make it streamlined and easy for everybody. I want to keep everybody on track, and I don't need to give you a ton of information. What I'd rather do is focus on giving you exactly what you need so you can get through the course. That link is available on Canvas. I do have it set up to my Google Drive because it is a lot of PDF. And I don't have the technology to do all of the proper ADA accessible tagging to make those documents accessible. So I do set it up in a Google file for that reason. You just click on the link, it takes you to my drive, and then you can go ahead and access the textbook through there. Okay, so let's talk about the Canvas setup. As you probably have seen, I have different areas on Canvas set up to kind of help organize the course. Obviously, you have found the Start Here area because that's where this video is. And then I linked a bunch of important information there, the syllabus, homework, textbook, office hours information, contacting information. All of that is set up on Canvas under the Start Here area. Additionally, I have links to homework forum for when you have questions on homework, and an instructor area that kind of just gives you some information on me if you want to know more about me. Okay, so also an important area on Canvas is the modules, which is on the left side of the screen. And in modules is kind of like where the heart of the material is for the class. I have it set up by weeks. I just think that's easier. So you know that week 1, this is what you're working on, week 2, and week 3, and so forth. Each week has lecture videos linked through my YouTube channel. So if you do need subtitles, you can use YouTube to do the subtitles. It does a pretty darn good job. And I actually do have lecture notes for the class, which means that my videos on YouTube use the lecture notes, and I provide those notes to you. So the best way to use the notes and kind of go through the class is to actually go print those notes out. If you have a printer, great, you can print them at home. If you don't, you can print them on campus. Both Newport and Lincoln City have printers available for students for free. You just need to show up when campus is open. So just check those hours, and you can pop into the common area and you can print out all of the lecture notes. You can print out the formula sheet, syllabus, anything you need. You can get that printed out, and you have that paper version. Now, I kind of do approach even my online classes like I would an in-person class. Part of the reason is I've been doing this a really long time, and I have done all sorts of things for online courses. And honestly, I have found that the old school approaches typically work so much better for students. So I do have where I expect you to take actual lecture notes like you would in a class. You watch my videos, you take the lecture notes, and then you can use that on the homework. Now, the homework is from the textbook, the OER textbook, but actually from the textbook like you would do in a normal class, like where you have problems assigned to you in the homework in a textbook. That's how I run the class, okay? So I expect you to do your homework on a separate piece of paper. There are specific problems assigned, and that assignment is also the list of all the homework assignments have been posted. And then you will go through and answer the questions on the homework and complete the homework that way. Now, a couple things about the homework. First, when you submit your homework, you're going to actually need to scan it. So you're going to want to get a scanning app. I recommend Adobe Scan. I've had great success with it. I have used a couple other scanners and they've been fine, but I have Adobe Scan personally, and I have created a handout on how to use it. You do not need to pay for anything on Adobe Scan. We can do everything we need for the course. And like I said, I do have a handout on how to use Adobe Scan. The biggest thing is being able to scan multiple pages into one PDF file. And it's easy to do. Look at my handout and you can do that. That's important for making sure, especially on quizzes, you can only submit one document. And yeah, if you have 2 pages that you need to scan, you need to make sure you know how to put them into one document. Now, our book, because it's an OER textbook, is organized different than like a standard math textbook. All of the problems for a chapter is actually grouped together in this large, giant section, okay? And in fact, the section's broken up into 2 parts. It's broken up into practice and into exercises or something like that. But it's like 1 through 105. There's like 105 problems, and all of them are from the different sections in chapter 1 or something like that. So I do assign by section, and I have it listed out in my homework assignments sheet, which problems to do for each section. So when you do section 1.1, there are specific problems that you're going to pull out and look at, like maybe problem 24, and then, 25, and then maybe problem 37, and then problem 45, right? And there might be a little bit of jumping around, meaning you might have to switch pages, and I do list the page numbers. I've given you actually just PDFs of the homework problems as well as the entire textbook. So in my Google link, you can just like look at chapter 1, homework problems only, and it's just that end section with just the homework. All of the answers to the odd questions are at the end of that document. So where it starts in the homework problems, the exercises, at the end of the last 3 or 4 pages are answers to the odd problems. So you can check your work. And most of the time I assign odd problems because I want you to be able to check your work. And you can always ask me for anything you need, like answers to evens, even if you just want to know the answers to check your work, you can ask me that information. And the way I like you to do that is through the homework forum. So I have a forum set up for homework questions, and that's where I want you to ask them. All you have to do is indicate the section you're working on and the problem number. Okay, that way I know where you're at and I can answer that question. And when I answer, then everybody gets to see my answer. So it's kind of like the equivalent when we're in class. If somebody raises their hand, I'm taking homework questions. They're like, can you do number 7? And I do number 7 on the board, and everybody gets to see me do that problem. Everybody gets to benefit from you asking number 7. All right. So that's how I kind of set up questions in the class. By the way, you are more than welcome to answer a classmate's question. If you see a question there and you happen to know the answer, I encourage you, go ahead and answer it. Students who get into that, answering other questions, tend to be like my highest A-level students. Like they're really usually top notch. I do, by the way, always check to make sure that they do it correctly. And if there's any issues or mistakes, I fix it. I let you know. But yeah, you're welcome to answer other questions if you want to. Some people really enjoy that and they get some learning out of it. So you're more than welcome to do that. And then the homework is also got due dates, but I call those soft due dates. So the due dates are flexible in the class for homework in particular, okay? So if you happen to only get through section, I don't know, for the first exam, let's say section 2.7 or something, all right? And you have more sections you wanted to do, you can still turn those in even after the exam. The exam will still cover the other sections even if you didn't do it, but I do allow late work on homework. Okay, so those are soft due dates. Now, we do have quizzes. The quizzes are homework quizzes. The quiz problems come out of the homework. You are allowed to use your homework on the quizzes, okay? The quizzes are timed. So there is a timer going, which does put some pressure on you, but if you're doing all the homework and then you take the quiz, you can have your homework right there taking the quiz and you can use your homework to answer the questions, okay? Now, the quizzes have an interesting setup, and I just kind of want to explain that to you. So as I said, it's timed. The way I have it set up is I basically link to you what you would have in an actual class, like what I would hand you as a piece of paper in the class. You can print it out if you want and work on that quiz as a printout, or you can go ahead and do your work on a separate piece of paper. You do, however, need to number it and put it in order and make sure it's clear and neat, and that the problems are matching the order and the numbers on the quiz that I've given you, okay? I do give a mock quiz so you can practice that, because I know some people, especially because it's timed, get a little bit freaked out about the timing, all right? The fact that they're being timed. So you have to, within the time limit, answer the questions and then scan it and submit it. So it's a good thing to practice the mock quiz so you get the opportunity to kind of practice, first of all, seeing the timer, and second of all, scanning and submitting within the time limit. Now, if you don't scan and submit within the time limit, I can't do anything about that. You won't get credit for that quiz. You'll get a 0 on the quiz, okay? So you have to scan and submit within the time limit, which means, like if you're working on the quiz and let's say you have one question left, but you only have a couple minutes and you still need to scan the quiz, it's better to go ahead and stop, scan the quiz and submit it and miss that last question than it is to not get the quiz in on time, okay? It is far better to make sure you get it scanned and submitted and get something in rather than nothing, all right? I do have late passes for if you need a 24-hour extension on the quiz. Our quiz due dates are hard due dates. So unlike the homework, the due dates are firm. If you don't get it done by the due date, you don't get credit for the quiz, okay? So there are no lates on the quizzes. You can use the late pass, I believe I gave you 2 for the course. So you can use a late pass, but you can't miss those due dates. You have to take the quiz before the due date. It's the hard due dates. Now, if you miss a quiz, don't panic. I do drop the lowest quiz score. All right. So you get 1 forgiveness. You do get a couple late passes if you need an extension. But yeah, quizzes, take them seriously. Do the homework. The homework is for the quizzes. Okay. It'll help you do well on the quizzes. But I am a little bit chill about the homework. If you don't get it all done, you can still turn it in late. The other thing you're going to see in this class are some worksheets and forums. We see those like maybe once a week, you might have a forum, and the next week you might have a worksheet, kind of depends. I know that the week before the midterm, I don't think I have a worksheet or a forum because I want you to be able to kind of focus on getting everything done and preparing for the midterm. Now, let's talk about the tests. So the tests are over Zoom, like in person live with me. Okay. I do have 2 set due dates for the midterm and the final. If you can't make those times, that's okay. You're just going to have to schedule to take those in our testing center on campus. You have to do them the same week that I'm doing those tests. Okay. So when we get close to those tests, I'll remind you guys of that. If you need to do an appointment to do it in the testing center, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll expect you to log into Zoom and do the test with me. You will need to have a camera on throughout the duration of the test. I will need to be able to see your workspace while taking the exam. And while you're doing the exam, you will also be scanning and submitting the test with me live, okay? So yeah, that's how the tests are kind of done. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. And I think I got through it all. Wow, there's so much. So I want you guys to know I'm here to help you. If you have questions, ask me, send them to me. I'm happy to try to help you however I can. And I look forward to seeing you online.